Taylor Swift's "You Need to Calm Down" wants to be a queer anthem. It also wants to. Her latest video is a complicated example of Pride Month's commodification. For the better part of her career, Taylor Swift has faced vehement criticism that she hasn't done enough to speak out for political causes. It was not so long with the release of her latest single, "You Need to Calm Down," which contains the lyric "Why are you mad, when you could be glad?" It is now clear what political causes Swift wants to align herself with. The music video, Gallery Hayrace every celebrity in Taylor Swift's star-studded "You Need to Calm Down" music video insider. This is understandably quite moving to many. Lorenzo Marquette. But when a major celebrity like Swift decides to take on social causes, she is also able to monetize them. This isn't a coincidence. Queer writers have tackled the commodification of Pride for years. Many believe the event. Over the past decade, New York City Pride has grown dramatically. In 2016, every June, more and more brands do the familiar dance of debuting a rainbow version of their logo or selling capsule collections that gesture to ideas of love and equality. This year, with businesses when Pride is over. The brand friendliness of Pride has created a disparity between what it is and what many activists think it should be. There's a weird nostalgia that Taylor Swift, who despite long-held hope from a certain corner of the internet that Taylor is real, has not yet come out as anything but straight, is a somewhat complicating factor in her place in queer culture. Swift has not. If country radio and country fans were resistant to Musgrave's 2013 song "Follow Your Arrow's" queer encouragement, the general public wasn't, he writes. Ultimately, a similar critique could be aimed at Swift, who is speaking out in support of LGBTQ causes at a time that's financially convenient, borrowing from subcultures that have already been proven to be lucrative, drag, for instance, and incorporating them into her brand. She also recently performed at the Stonewall Inn, which some compared to hosting straight bachelorette parties at gay bars. These are questions that relate to the value of allyship in general. What purpose does it serve, exactly, for a pop star who has built a career on breathlessly romanticizing straight relationships to take on the mantle of gay rights? This isn't so, but these are dangerous critiques against a star with not only powerful friends but a legion of rabid fans on social media, ready to pounce at any whisper of negativity. Like many celebrities, this, however, is the connection between herself and marginalized people that she chooses to exploit in her latest song, which bewilderingly also extends the themes of love and feminism to the ending of her beef with Katy Perry, who appears in the video in a burger costume. "We see you over there," as Constance Grady writes for Vox. Swift is playing one of her worst games. Here she's linking criticism of her as a celebrity and as a musician with homophobic and anti-feminist bullying, and she's suggesting that they're all equally wrong. Gallery all the Easter eggs in Taylor Swift's "You Need to Calm Down" music video. People. There will never be a world in which Taylor Swift, by virtue of being very famous, is not the subject of criticism, and it's fair to argue that there are better things to criticize her for than performative work as an ally. But Taylor Swift, MSN are empowering women in sport this summer. Find out more about
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,